Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is David from Daveden Web Dev. If you can see me, you can hear me, please let me know in the comments so that I know that everything is working well. So we'll just go today into the live stream. Today's live stream is just going to be about all of the new features that have been coming out and the new discussions. So things about Elementor version 4, that's the editor. We have the Bricks version 2.0, the alpha version, and then we have Bricksforge version 3.0.7. So that's what we'll be mostly talking about today. So just let me know in the comments if everything is okay so that I don't just keep talking to myself. So yeah, let me check the comments. And yeah, I think everything is good. So if you're just joining in, anytime you're joining in, just let me know if everything is sounding okay and looking okay. And today's live stream is just going to be a chilled live stream, just going through what I've been seeing in all of the different builders and what's going on. And let me switch my screen so we can start. So the first thing we'll be looking at generally is we'll be starting with the Elementor, the Q2 roadmap that was released recently. We'll be looking at the Bricks version 2.0 alpha, just brief looking. I've not really looked at it properly, so we'll just look at it briefly. And I'll try to solve some questions that I have seen about Bricksforge, as well as the announcement that was made in the Bricksforge community. We'll talk about that as well. So let me now just go through some of them. Okay. So some of the highlights that were shown in the Elementor video, the roadmap video. Let me see if I can pull the video up somewhere and share it on screen. So YouTube, and hi Anna, thanks for joining in. We're just looking at all the new features that are coming out in Elementor, Bricks, and all of them. So let me pull up the Elementor's roadmap. Q2. And let's share it. Okay. So which builder are you more excited for? Elementor, Bricks, or any other builder? Let me know in the comments. So this is the Elementor's roadmap video. You can check it out later. It's in the comments. And yeah, so the main highlights of the whole video is about Hello Bees, the editor v4, which is the main one that everybody was like concerned about. Then we also have the Elementor AI. They've made some improvements to the AI. We have the hosting, made some improvements there as well. Site Mailer, Image Optimizer, the Ali plugin, and Send. So those are the key bits of information that were released recently. And the one will be, let's start with the first one. So I just screenshotted some highlights from the talk. So the first thing they were talking about was mostly about the site map or site planner. And they said some things that have been added are support for Zoom and Google Meet calls. So you can now extract information from your Zoom and Google Meet calls and use that in preparing the entire site. I believe that's what they said. Then we also have the multilingual support. Previously it was only English, but now they've added support for other languages, so you can use any language of your choice: English, French, Welsh, even right to left languages like Arabic and Hebrew. All of them work well, and then you can either output the HTML in that language, or you can choose to output it in English. That's what I gathered from the information. Then the next one was that They also made pages for WooCommerce, so you can get ready-made pages for your WooCommerce stores, which is, I think, is a very good thing. Then they also finally added styling options, because I don't know if anybody has seen the WordPress version. I think WordPress.com, they also have something similar where you go through a process of asking questions to the AI, and then the AI will come up with a ready-made website for you. So I think that's something similar. And they also have this feature where you can choose the color scheme that you want. You can also choose what images to output. So I think all of them are now going into this AI game. Everybody is into the AI game now. Because I think AI is definitely, we all have to use AI now. We all have to embrace AI. If you don't embrace AI, you might be left behind, because even all those top developers, like the T3 charts owners and all of those people who are proper coders, they also rely on AI. So don't think that AI is something to avoid. Instead, it's something that we should all embrace and use it to the best of its abilities. Then the other thing that was included is that now they will also add an AI logo generator. I don't know if you all remember, I think, was it 3 years ago when Elementor introduced that Canva AI, oh no, not Canva, was it Canva AI or Canva logo maker, where a lot of people were angry that it's going to take away the business from them, and because now the clients will be able to like generate logos by themselves, and there was some pushback and it was removed. But now I think it's coming back again in a different format. So now is the AI logo generator. It will help you generate logos, and you can just automatically get a logo without having to think too much about it. So I don't know, what do you think in the comments? And after the site planner, there was also the Hello Bees, and they've shown that now the Hello Bees will have those like presets, or I think what some people call the variations in components. So this is exactly what is happening. So they have given you some components for like your contact form, the contact address and all of that, and then they give you variations so you can quickly switch between different variations and without having to write all of the code yourself. So let me switch it back. Yeah, so that is it. The visual layout presets. So you have variations now. And yeah. Yeah, so that's something that we'll have to worry about. Everything now, we have to be afraid of what is intellectual property, what is all in the air. But yeah, we will have to get used to it somehow. We have to like navigate any legal problems. I just spilled water on my table. This is bad. But yeah. But we'll see how it goes, because that's the, where's it? The AI logo maker. But although it's not that, this is not that bad. So at least you get some logos. They'll just generate, I guess it's from your site name. You try to generate something that looks like what you're talking about, I think. I don't know. Well, I can see one question. Personally, I like using bricks, but I think it all depends on who builds the websites. All of these builders now are getting faster and better. We have so many builders. We have Edge, we have Breakdance, Bricks, Buildarius, and all of them are like striving toward clean code. Even Elementor with the version 4, cleaner code. So I think it will no longer be very obvious which one is better, which one is worse. So yeah. So we just have to wait and see. I think it's all down to preference at the point, because with the way all of them are pushing toward cleaner code, dynamic data, components, which Elementor calls it atomic design, I think that's what they call it. Then Bricks calls it the components In the site editor, if you're using the block editor, I think they call it patterns with overrides or some other name that they've given it. So everybody is moving toward this kind of system where we can just easily, like, they're all like unifying the way they create their approach, which is good. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it all goes. Like, yeah, there's so many different builders. There's that framer. I think there is Clutch, which Lex is going to be talking about next week with I think the developers of Clutch. So you can check out his live stream next week. He'll be speaking to them. Then there is so many other ones, and yeah, I agree with this version that I think for now most of the logo generators are, like he said, it's all like New Gear Media said, they're mostly basic, like, logos, but I think they get the job done for most companies. But if you want something with more like value to your company, I think it's still good to meet a professional who will like work on that logo for you. Same thing with like websites or even photography. You can take your iPhone and take pictures and they will be great. But then if you want some other, like, some kind of unique styling, sometimes it's always good to still go and meet a professional or somebody who is good at that craft, and the person will come up with a better design for you. So it's all up to you. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that comment makes a lot of sense. That all of these builders, because I've seen people use bricks and all they do is style on the ID level. It works for them, but if you go to another developer, that developer may not like it. So I think it all depends on how you and your team work, and now all of them are getting better. So the lines are getting very blurry to say this page builder is better than the other page builder. Those lines they're no longer like a parallel line. It's now more joined together. So yeah. So let's see what other things that they've added. Let me switch. So the other thing that they've added with the that is the Hello Bees, is a free theme. So you can go ahead and get it. It's a free theme that basically adds some features of Elementor into it, so that for users who don't really know how to start doing so many of these complex designs, they can just drop its like pre-created templates, and that's it. But now they've added some support. So if you have Elementor Pro, you'll be able to use dynamic data tags even in the Hello widgets. So that's something they've added. And yeah, so let's see the next one. And the next one is the V4 Editor version 4 alpha. That is what we're all waiting for. I think they said it will start, the rollout to start with Elementor version 3.29. So from that Elementor version 3.29, they will start adding some of the features. Not all the features, but some of the features will be coming in. And yeah, we are all excited for that. Yeah. So let's see, what options do they have? So the first thing that I noticed from their features is that they have CSS oriented design system now. For a long time, they've just been using, like, you can only style on the like a long class level where that is auto generated. But now you have two options. You can either style using a global class, or you can still style on the local level. So there's local and then the class that you can generate yourself. So they're moving toward the same CSS oriented approach. So that's nice. Then the other thing that they're including is atomic elements, which is, like I said before, atomic elements is just their own name for components. That's the name Bricks uses. Then the block editor, they use patterns with overrides. So they all just have different unique, nice names. But at the end of the day, they all do the same thing, at least to the best of my knowledge. So what happens is, with the atomic elements, you'd be able to drop in multiple like widgets or elements together into one. Then you save it as how we have the global widget or the template. But in this case, it will now be each of those, when you use it, each one of them is now an instance. So when you group everything together, right now with the templates, you can't actually edit a single aspect of the template without either unsyncing it or changing it everywhere. But in this case, it will now be like a partially synced template. So you drop in your widgets together, you now group them together as one widget. Then it will give you controls for just changing like maybe the content, or it's like creating a new widget. Basically, that's just the simple answer to this atomic elements. It's like you're creating a new widget. So that's it. Then the other thing that is being added is a more modernized user experience. And to tell you the truth, it's something that I actually like. Basically, all of the different builders that we know right now, they're all moving toward this approach, which is very good. What I mean by that is they now break it down into two portions. So we have the general, which is for the HTML. Anything that's related to HTML should go to general. Anything related to CSS should go to style. We should not be having general, style, then advanced. Then in some widgets you have layout, style, advanced. So those naming conventions were very confusing. But now we just have general for everything related to HTML, and then style for everything related to CSS. And that makes our understanding and our life way better. And yeah, although one thing that I noticed here is when they clicked on the spacing, everything was 0. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to not just unlink them, but be able to like only change one value at a time. Because that is one of the limitations that we have with Elementor right now, that let's say you want to just only change the left margin. The moment you unlink it, it basically makes everything 0. And then when you change the left, you have basically changed top, right, and bottom to be 0. But sometimes we don't want that. We only want to change the left margin, maybe on mobile, we want to just change the left margin, but we don't want to affect the top, right, and bottom. I don't want to start having to write the top, right, and bottom again. I just want to change only the left. So I'm hoping that all of the controls are no longer like connected to each other, that you cannot change one without making the other value 0. I don't know if that is what is going to be the case for the future, but we'll wait and see. When the version 3.29 is released, I will do some tests and I will definitely come up with my findings. Then the other very nice thing that they've added is modernized user experience. So now with the responsive controls, before, when we have responsive controls, you cannot really change different things. So it's only some specific styling elements that you can change. But now in this case, everything in the style tab, you can change it for desktop, tablet, and mobile, and maybe any other breakpoint that you choose to add. So that's a nice feature that they're adding. And yeah, I saw a question that says, which one is the best in your opinion when building WooCommerce store? Advanced sites, no basics. Like I think it's still a personal choice. For me, I would always try to use Bricks first for now, but I don't know, my choices may change later. But for now, when it comes to like advanced things, I like to use Bricks more, because Bricks has a lot of like dynamic data options which are not available in a lot of the other builders. Because like with Elementor, if you want to like use maybe even a repeater field, you need a third-party plugin. You either need something like Dynamic OO, or you need the dynamic data plugin itself to support repeater fields. For example, you can use admin and site enhancements, their repeater fields are supported in Elementor, so you can create repeater fields and edit them in Elementor, or you use something like JetEngine. Those ones are also supported directly by Elementor, but like by the third-party plugins. But Elementor itself does not really support much dynamic data things, so that's the only reason why I may not use Elementor for some features that relate a lot to dynamic data. Although, since I have dynamic shortcodes and JetEngine, so sometimes I might, given the choice, I may still go ahead and use it if the client really wants to use Elementor. But personally, I still like Bricks more, and yeah, that's just my choice. So yeah, let's switch back and see what were the other features that I noticed in the stream. So one other feature that I noticed, so now this is how the layout is going to be. For now, there will be both the version 4 and the version 3 will all live together, but they cannot intermix for now. That means you can't use version 4 inside of a version 3 element. You can only use version 4 in a version 4 element, although the version 4 elements can exist on the same page with the version 3 elements, but you can't just add them together into one component. So you cannot add maybe a container from version 3 and then a heading from version 4. I don't think that will work. So that's it. Hey George, thank you for joining in. I hope you're having a nice day today. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and like I said, hopefully one day we get to do some stream together. So yeah, so these are the elements that come with Elementor. So we have flexbox, div block, we have the heading, the image block, the paragraph, the SVG, and the buttons. I'm hoping that since these are the new elements, that they will not have any wrapper div, because that's the one major thing that I'm afraid of now. I'm just hoping that once these blocks are released, they will come as plain elements. So the way we have like the container, there's no wrapper on the container. So I hope that we get that with the other elements as well. So the heading should just be a heading, no wrapper div wrapper element class equal to container or something like that. We don't need any of those. But yeah, I think these are the main basic building blocks for any website. So this should really be able to build almost any website that you need, except maybe when you need a query loop. I don't know if they're going to create another widget for query loop, or maybe they would go with the Bricks version where you can query loop anything. So we'll wait and see how they approach it. And then what else do they have? So yeah, this is just what they were showing, that you can have the local class and then you can create a global class to style elements, so they can style multiple elements at the same time. So this is something very, very, I'm happy that they're introducing. Okay, and what else? The other thing that I liked with the way they implemented the border is, first, it's almost like, I think with the block editor, this is how the block editor works as well, where they will give you one control first, and that control will like control all 4 parts. So if you put like maybe a 30 pixel or a 20 pixel, it will control all 4 parts. But then if you want to now have the individual controls, you now click on the option. So you click on this square or option, it will now expand into a popover or like a pop-up that you can now change the individual parts if you want. So if you want maybe the top to be 100 pixels, whereas the bottom left should be something else, then you can change it. So yeah, this is a nice feature they've added. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you, George. Yeah. So the next other thing they've added is that we can now change all of the individual options of typography individually. Before, with typography, maybe I'll show it later if I have the chance. Previously with typography, you can only change, like, if you want on desktop to change something, everything was connected together. Like all of these controls were connected. Even when you're trying to create a global class, like what's it called? A global, like, typography. Basically, you have to control everything. But now, you can create a class, and that class will only affect maybe the text transform or only the line height, and it will not affect every other part of the page. And you can add multiple classes. So you can say maybe a class for your line height should only be maybe 50, like 5M or like 1.2M for the line height. Then maybe another class will be just to affect the font weight. Another class will affect the font size or something like that. So you can change just the individual parts of a typography. Previously, everything was just linked together. So once you change the global typography from one to the other, it will just change every option. So that was not really nice. But yeah, that's it for the typography. Then the other thing I noticed is that now you have this global class manager where you can reorder the specificity of the classes. So you can say maybe the accent class should be like more, like have more priority. So I think what they're just doing this once, as you rearrange the classes in the class manager, I believe it's just rearranging the classes in the DOM. So basically making the class at the top should be the last class that has been added in the DOM. So that's what they're doing, I believe. So that's the other feature I noticed. And we have the feature for, let's see, did I switch something? Okay. We have the pseudo states. So, or like, I think these are the pseudo classes, right? Yeah, pseudo classes. For now, they're only introducing pseudo classes. So I think right now, most of the work that is being done in Elementor is like restructuring. So they're not really adding so much new features apart from the global classes. Most of the other things that they're doing is just restructuring. So like, for example, the pseudo, like pseudo elements are not yet added, only the pseudo classes. So that's why and it's only those pseudo classes that we already know before. So that's the normal state, we have the hover state, the focus state, and active state. So these are the states that were already there even in Elementor version 3. So they're not really adding any new feature. But I think after they've released this version, then as they iterate and progress, then they'll start adding extra. So you can have the user invalid, or maybe you can be able to create your own like global pseudo classes, pseudo elements, pseudo selectors, and whatever you want to create. So I think that's where we'll go in the future. But for now, it's kind of like they're just using what they already have and just reordering them into a nicer user interface. So then if you want to activate it, once you have that version 3.29 and upward, I think they said they will add an option under Elementor settings. Then you see Elementor Editor version 4. You can go through the activation process and activate it, and you become part. It down add the widgets into your Elementor builder. And the other thing that I saw is coming soon, which someone mentioned in the core framework Facebook group. They were mentioning that there's the variables coming soon. But what I noticed with the variables is that it is basically the same as the global colors that we already have in terms of colors. As you can see, the values are still in the hex values. We can't really, I don't think we can use our own, like a variable name in the values. The values is still the same 4 options that they give us: HSL, the RGB, RGBA, and other things. And even the name, we are giving it a label, but I don't think that is what is going to be like generated as the variable name. I'm not sure. We'll test it out when it is released. But what I can see here with the name and the value, I think the name will just be like a string of characters rather than like a slug or a variable name. So I don't think that's what is going to be generated on the back end as the variable name. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see when it's released and we'll do a video about it. And maybe in future they will improve upon it. But that's what I just got from this during their presentation, that it's still going to be hex values, the HSL, RGBA, and all of those values that we can add. The only thing that we can now give them names, which is similar to global classes already, or global colors already. And yeah, that is what I saw. And finally, one of the other things they talked about was the Ali plugin. And I don't really have much to say about the Ali plugin. It's just basically a question that I will just pose to people. And my main question is, I think I have like 3 questions. So basically, I believe that I'm happy with how Elementor is aligning themselves with accessibility improvements, and definitely I think they're one of the few ones that are really pushing accessibility, and they are supporting different accessibility programs. So I'm happy for them. The only thing I'm still just undecided about this accessibility widget, because I was speaking to a friend of mine just yesterday. We were discussing about one of these widgets and how he's going to use the widget. And then I noticed one thing, that the widget was on his own page while we were talking, but when he wanted to like increase the screen size and everything on his page, he didn't use that widget. He still went ahead to his Apple browser settings and then increased the resolution so that the screen can get bigger. And then I didn't really say anything, but then that got me thinking that a lot of times we put these widgets on the page, but the reality is people would not use that widget. Or at least from what I've seen personally, that widget is just like a nice to have for your clients to have that confidence that they are supporting accessibility. But in reality, people already seem to have like coping mechanisms for how they cope with accessibility problems. Because let's just take, for example, like me. Let's say I go to watch a movie in the cinema. Would the cinema people give me a pair of glasses to wear to watch the movie? I already have my pair of glasses, so I would just go there, put on my own pair of glasses, and I watch the movie. I wouldn't go and start asking the cinema coordinators that, please, can you get me a pair of glasses? Because then you start having to wonder, okay, what is your specification of your prescription? What is this? What is that? So because everybody's needs are different, that's one of the reasons why I'm still undecided about using accessibility widgets in general. I believe that as they are there, some people will definitely use them, because I like on different websites, I toggle on their dark mode, light mode on their website. But I think that's mainly the only thing I think I use in most accessibility widgets is their light mode, dark mode, and usually it's not within those pop-up widgets. It's usually those ones that put them on the top of their screen. So maybe that's just me though. I don't know. What do you personally, I think that's the question I should ask. Personally, have you or anybody you know ever used those accessibility widgets that come with websites? Because I know with softwares, yeah, we do that. We go to your phone settings, you change the font size, you go to your maybe any app, you change the font size. But on websites themselves, I think the browser's already giving us a lot of the information that we need. So I'm just, because just when I was just watching my friend as he was doing that. As we were talking, we were discussing some business things, and then I noticed that when he wanted to increase the size of his screen, he had the widget there on the page. I was expecting him to click on the widget and increase the font size, but he already knows the settings that he needs to increase the font size or the size of his screen. So he went there and increased it. But yeah, that is that about it. And yeah, let me exit that. But that's the main things. Then the other things that they were talking about in Elementor were the send plugin, and then which other plugin? I missed the others, but yeah, those are the other plugins that they were talking about. But I'm really excited for the Elementor version 4. That's the editor version 4. I believe it's going to be a game changer. It's going to make people like start getting closer to building websites in a more like maintainable, scalable way. Because for the longest time, a lot of people, the way they build websites is not really like scalable. In terms of like maybe in 2 months' time, if somebody down the road says, okay, I want all the colors of my website to be, maybe the buttons should be green or something like that. A lot of times people now start having to go through every button, changing each button color, the radius, and all of those things for each of the buttons. But right now you can just say button class primary, style it. Then anytime you want to change that primary button, you just go back to that button dash primary, and then you change that the styles on that class, and it changes everywhere. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, that is it for Elementor. If you have any questions about Elementor, please let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. If there are no comments, then we'll switch over and we just look at the updates to Bricks, and we can just go through the changelog as well. So break, let me just be looking for it while I wait for any questions. Bricks changelog. And let me even see if I can open up a Bricks page with the update. Okay. Okay, let me switch my screen to the changelog. Yeah. So for Bricks, we are having the Bricks version 2.0 alpha, which has just released a few days ago, or was it yesterday, or a few days ago? And it comes with a lot of features. I believe WP Tots, Paul, he has already gone through some of the features. There's also a video you can go through to like see all of the features. Let me put that in the chat. So that's the Bricks 2.0 changelog. So you can go ahead and check it out. And I think one of the highlight features that I liked about Bricks 2.0 was the improvement in the UI. I think I like how they've made some changes to the UI, although it has broken some plugins. So now some plugins which used to attach their icons to the UI, those icons have been detached. I think maybe once the final version comes up, then all of those plugins will like come up with their attachments again. But yeah, so we have the 2.0. The first thing that they've added is builder capabilities, and now you can have granular control over what each like user role can do. So you can say maybe this user role called maybe content management, they can use just, maybe they can change just the pages, or they can change just the posts or something like that. You just give them basically like granular control over exactly what they can do. Can they add templates, or can they edit templates, or things like that? Oh, hey Lex, thanks for showing up, and I'm hoping to see your live stream next week about Clutch, so we'll get to see that. So yeah, we go with so that's the first option that was added, this edit capability. We'll check some of those things out. And then we have the Elements Manager, because generally, like, I really like this Elements Manager in that most times I don't like seeing too many like options in my page that I know I will never use. So what I will just do is go through all of those widgets or the elements, the ones you don't need or you think your clients don't need. You can get rid of them, either hide them or remove them completely from the builder, and then you get granular controls. A lot of these things were there before, or they were in third-party plugins, but now they're just making them, refining them and making them better, and so on. So we also have this font manager in builder, so you can go inside of the builder and then create different, can basically add your custom fonts directly in the builder. You can download Google fonts directly in the builder and so on. So you don't have to go to like the a lot of people say magic area to add your fonts anymore. Everything can be done directly in the builder. That's something that everybody is pushing into. Yeah. And oh yeah, okay, thank you for joining in today. I really appreciate it, and we'll speak soon. But yeah, that is something that I think all of these builders are going in, like build areas. We have Edge. All of these builders, they're now trying to move into this kind of system where everything is done inside of the builder. You don't have to go out of the builder to like add images or anything. You can do everything within the builder interface, which makes work, I think it will make work faster. But yeah, I don't know, what do you think? Do you prefer having everything be controlled directly in the builder, or do you prefer to have like we have now, or like in the past where they have modular approach, where if you want to change maybe a template, you go to the templates section and then you edit the template. If you want to change a component, you go to a components editing module or something like that, somewhere away from the main builder. I don't know. I think everybody has their own different approach that they like. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that we have the icon manager, the HVG styles. Now you can change the styles per breakpoint. Before, you had to use custom CSS to change things like the width, the height, the fill. Those things, they were only done on the desktop breakpoint, and then they were like carried through the entire breakpoints. But now you can see the controls are there. You can change the control for desktop, for mobile, for the tablet portrait, and so on. And yeah, this is also a very good one, this bulk edit elements. So now you can just highlight multiple elements, which, let me see if I have a page opened. So yeah, this is one website I have created, and it has version 2.0. Let's go to the appearance and themes. And you see it has version 2.0 alpha installed. So we can now go to a page. So I'll just go to pages and see, do I have any page there? Let's just go to roadmap, edit with bricks. And yeah, this is one thing that was added. Now, if you're choosing dark mode, then the dark mode applies everywhere. And now I think I prefer this dark mode color. I think there's more contrast for my own eyes. I don't know for other people, but I like this because before everything was like sort of grayish colors, so it was harder for me to distinguish colors. But now, personally, I like the colors scheme that was added. And I will also test out the light mode and see how the light mode works. Then, so let's say we have a section with, let me go ahead and delete the div. Oh, let me see, let me see if I deactivated something. Breaks, settings, and builder. Okay, yes, I don't have this activated, so let me activate those. And let's see, just activate everything. Okay, yeah, sync global classes. Okay. Show query loop type. Okay. I didn't see this option before. I don't know, was that option added recently? Show query loop type. Okay, let's go back to the builder. Let me refresh, save it, and refresh. Have I saved? Okay, yeah, saved. Took a while. So this dark mode, everything now is dark mode. If you are a dark mode user, I believe you should be happy with that. So yeah, we see these options. So now I can go to my container. Like I said, I had in version 1.12, you'll be able to see those icons for either like your advanced themer or your Bricksforge and all of those ones. But now those icons, they are not yet compatible with the new interface. But I can still pull up this is from Bricksforge. So let's just say I want to add maybe a heading. Does that work? I don't think it's working. Oh, I guess it's not working. No, it works. But the pop-up was not showing anything. I guess something has changed in 2.0. Before, with the 2.0, you can get things like the autocomplete, but now nothing shows up. Container. Yeah, nothing shows up. So I think Daniel will have to test out this terminal and see, because previously, once you start typing, the terminal will autocomplete, but now there's no autocomplete. But I think it's still working. So it is. So for I want the heading, I want something like a basic. So I have to now remember the names. Text basic plus maybe a button. Yeah, okay, I remember the names. Did it work? Oh yeah. This is just some placeholder text. The button, click here. Just for fun. And let me give it the class name of. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that was added in Bricks 2.0 is that now we can multi-select. So once you multi-select, it changes color to this blue color. If you want to move them, you can move them any way you like. So all I did was I clicked on the first, and then I clicked Shift, or held Shift, kind of like how you have already with your regular Windows or Mac, how you select. So if I hold Shift and click, it selects all. If I shift and just use the Control or Command and then click, then it only highlights the ones that I've selected, and I can move them up, move them down. The only thing that once you start moving them, they will like band together, I guess. So let's see if that's the case. So let me add another yeah, let me add like 3 and just call this test 2. Okay, so I'll click on heading, basic text, and no, text 2, basic text. Let's see if I move them up. Yeah, so it will now group them together basically. So if you're moving, it's not like you can move heading up and the other one just one step together. Everything now groups together as you move them. So that's something to watch out for. But yeah, I think that's normal. Then what else? But yeah, I think I can see these styles better. I don't know about you all, but for me, I think I like. Maybe I'll see how. Let me see how the light mode looks like. So let's go to. No, this is language, builder mode, light, save. Let me zoom in to 125%. And let me go ahead and refresh. Let me save the page first. Refresh. 2.0 alpha, so the color changes to this pinkish color. Okay. Well, I don't know. I still don't like this. When I was doing my own, I had to use the custom and change the light mode. I don't know why I still don't like this light pinkish color. Or is it? I don't know what color this is. The reddish color. Maybe it will grow on me, but when I was building mine, I had to change mine to purple because I don't like this color. But yeah, so I guess some things were changed in the light mode, but I think I probably prefer the dark mode now. Okay, refresh. Okay, so at least those were added. What else was added? Yeah, now we can have this. Hey Thomas, thanks for joining in. Yeah, let's see. I think it'll be quite early where you are right now. Because over here I'm in the UK, so it's just about 1:20 p.m. But yeah, So we have the bulk edit elements, that is, and then we have these styles where you can now bulk add classes. So if I click on multiple and I go to the classes, and I can now add a class. So let's say maybe grade 3 or something. It wouldn't do anything, but I'm just showing you that you can add classes. So now if I go to each of them, you now have this grid and grid 3, the other one, grid and grid 3 added. So you can bulk add classes. I don't know if you can bulk add. Maybe next to add is to bulk add some, like, I don't know. It's only classes we can add, right? Can we add attributes? Let's see. Add attributes. Oh wow, yeah, that's quite early. It's always hard to get the right timing for everybody that works. So yeah, I need to improve my timing. But yeah, let me see if I can bulk add attributes. So let's see, data test, my name, save, and let's deactivate. See. Okay. So yeah, it added it in bulk. So yeah, that is something really good. You can bulk add classes, attributes. You can add styles as well in bulk. The only thing that the ones that are already selected, so for example, right now, let's give the heading a class of maybe test 324, and I select 2, you wouldn't see the class that was added to individual options. It will just give you a blank slate to start styling from scratch. And let me now guess something. So if I say I change the margin of 20 rem here, and test 2 and heading, and I say margin should now be 15 or rem, no, 5 rem. Let me see what happens. If I deselect and I go back. Oh, okay, so if you were styling on the ID level and you bulk selected different options and you try to change them, basically it will change all of the individual options that were added already to that ID. So if in this case now, if I go back to like 2 rem and I check, it basically changed what was the default class or the default margin on that element before to the new margin. Okay, so that is something that's nice. So what else was added? We have the context unwrap. That's something I've always wanted, because there are lots of times where I've added lots of elements to a block and now I want to delete that block. So I will now have to, let's say, for example, we have wrap in block and I'd added elements like this. So maybe I'd call this maybe the content wrapper, right? And maybe for whatever reason, I thought, okay, I don't need this block anymore. I would have had to, previously, without the multi-select and without the new option we had, you would have had to start dragging all of them out before you now go ahead and delete the option. That's like so many steps all together. But now, with all of them in the block, you can just right click and let's see, unwrap, right? Unwrap. And that just basically goes through, like, it's like a macro that does everything. So it moves all of the options upward and then deletes whatever container or whatever wrapper you had before. So that is a cool feature. I definitely need that. And what other option do we have? And the CSS grid builder. From what I was seeing with the output of the CSS grid builder, I think this one of something is still, I guess that's why we're in alpha, because if I remember correctly, let me see, can I use what's the name? The name is called ent child one of x. Okay. Oh no, this is no, that's for ent. I don't know if they added that. new. I think it's still newly available across major browsers. I think it will still take. That's why it's 93%. It will still take about a year or something like that. I think it will take about 6 months or so before it now becomes widely available. Because first it starts with newly available, meaning that there are still a lot of older browsers that a lot of people are still using, which it will, because it will still break. So usually if we want to implement some of these features, it's the best time to implement them is when they are widely available. Newly available is still like just a little bit. They have to take it a little bit with caution, just a little bit, because that means there are still a lot of people using the old like a old model of a computer, because I think the lifespan of like technology is about, I think, 3 years, right? That's why your phones, they give you only 3 years of maintenance or something like that, because I think that's the idea that they have, that usually people can have some things that are up to 3 years old. So usually you wait for, but I think newly available is not that bad to use, so I wouldn't complain. But that's the best way you can approach using visual grid builders, is with that one off, two off the ID. Otherwise, it will not work as expected. But let's see how it works now. Let me change this to a grid. And we now get the new option here, Visual Grid Builder. I think Advanced Thema has its own options as well. You can check that out. But yeah, this is the grid. And we can now start styling all of these grids. So you can say the first one, we want it to be, in terms of columns, we want maybe 3 columns. And we want them to be in the 1FR notation. Let me see if I can change this notation itself. So instead of 1FR, let me say I want 20 rem. Oh, okay, yeah. So you can just change it to 20 rem, but it just makes it easier to use min max. If I click on it, it just automatically changes everything to min max. But if you want to remove the min max, you can still delete it, I believe, and change it to 2 rem, if that's what your design calls for. So they give you this option to automatically add the min max, but you can still overwrite every one of them. So all of these options are, you can override them. So instead of 20 rem, I can say maybe main 100%, comma 15 rem, something. I'm just doing weird numbers now, and it should work. So yeah, it works. So you can use it anyhow you like, and you can see the exact elements there. This is the heading element, the basic text, the button, and you can rename them. So let's see if I rename this to test header. Okay, and save it. Let's see what it does. So where is save? Oh, there's no. So I guess it automatically saves. Interesting. There's no save button. So that means anything you're doing, it's automatically saving. And gap, let me just say gap is 1 rem. Okay, let's go back. So yeah, it automatically just does everything immediately you do it. So it has done the min max 0, main 100%, comma 15 rem, and so on. And did it add any? Okay, because I didn't change any elements, so it didn't do any of the grid column or grid row for the child elements. Let's go back to our grid, Visual Grid Builder. Or let me see if I change the value here and say something like, I don't want this main again. Let's see if I go back to the Visual Grid Builder, what does it do? Okay, so it just takes back those values and puts them back into this visual grid. Nice. If I extend this, see, let me extend the header. Why is it not extending? Do I have to move? Okay, I have to wait. Interesting. How do we move it? I guess let me start from scratch. Why wasn't it moving? Let me go back to the grid, save, and this time let me use a class name and see if that changes anything. So test grid, display grid, then Visual Grid Builder. Let's try again. So this time I want 3 columns and 2 rows, and I'm using min max. So let's see if I can move this. Okay, now it moved. I don't know why it didn't move before. That's interesting. Something to check out. So let's move this. It moved, and that moved. Okay. And let's see if I can now, if I want to now change this value, let's see if that was what caused the problem. So let's change this value to maybe 20 pixels and add an extra row. See, I want to move this to, it moved. Maybe that was just a glitch. Okay, yeah, they're all moving. And there's no save button. I think there should be a save button. I guess as the moment you drag it, it automatically saves, which can be scary. What if I think that that's a mistake and I want to not do it? So I have to now basically reset grid. Okay, then it's undo. Okay. But I think there should be a save button somehow. I guess that's just me personally. I like knowing that I pressed a button to save. But yeah, we get our grid in the way we have it. And if you go under the style tab, because I moved elements around, under the style tab, you can now see under custom CSS that some custom CSS was added. So root, end child. Okay, so it didn't use that end of type. Let's see, where does it use that? Let me try with a query loop. So add a new section. Let's just say section with a column or container that has flex column, and in there we have a block, maybe a block that has the query loop. Okay, and in the block I have a heading plus a text basic plus, let's see if I can change the text to, this is a placeholder, and we have a button. That has a text. I hope this doesn't break. Sometimes I press it when I do the wrong thing, some things break. Learn more. Okay, yeah, everything was added. So now with this query loop, say, or this block, I want to add a query loop and choose a query of posts and post type posts. Yep. And in the heading should have, oh no, sorry, I didn't save it. Did I? Yeah, I saved. Okay, so I think that is, oh, don't I have any post? The text should be post title. Oh yeah, I only have one post on this website. Then the basic text to be, this is a placeholder, and the button. Okay, save. Then let's just go and add some random posts. Maybe I should use the fake up, no, let's see, fake press. I just want to add some random posts. I'll see how the grid builder works in a query loop. So let me refresh. And then I want to go to Faker Press and posts. And I just want to create maybe 20 posts this month. And yeah, just posts. Don't really care about the rest. Contents I don't really care, so just leave it the way it is. I don't like H1. I don't want any of these. The rest can be there. Exercise default, yes. I don't need any category, any tags. 100%. Just one. And generate. This is one plugin I like to use to generate random posts. I think it's a popular plugin. Or sometimes I'll just use WP import and I'll create something from Claude or ChatGPT and then just import those random posts. So those are the ways I generate random posts on my demo websites. But yeah, let me know in the comments which plugin do you normally use to generate like random posts if you're doing like a demo test or something like that. Which plugins do you use? Okay, so we have our plugin, our posts created. So now I can come back to my query loop and refresh. And yep, so we have all of our posts now. So I'll try again. Come to the container and do my fake test, fake loop. And this time, go to the grid builder. Say I want var gap. I'm hoping that is added on this website because I don't know what plugins were added in this website. Gap, and want 2 columns or where's my interesting. Something is definitely wrong. So I'm pressing 4 and then it auto generates to 8. Is it because I put var gap? What's going on? Let me go back. Delete all of these and click on the grid again. Is it my mouse? I don't see anything. It just keeps doubling the numbers somehow. Remove min max. I suppose it's this min max. This use min max is creating problems. Because the moment I deactivated it, everything started working well. So I think this use min max is having some issues. But yeah, 4 columns and 3 rows. And let's say the gap is var gap. Hopefully this time it works. Yeah, it's working now. So it was just this use min max that was creating problems. So maybe that's a bug. And no, I guess var gap is not added on this website. So maybe dd gap, grid gap. Not sure what this website uses. 1rem, just to be safe. Oh yeah, it's there. I just had to click away from the input for it to get added. While I was still in the input, no matter what you type, nothing changes until you click out of the input. But let me delete this. Until you click out of the input, then it adds. So yeah, I guess for performance issues, so I guess that's a good thing. So we have that. Let me go back and Did it do anything? No. Grid 4, and that is the grid. Okay, let me save this, and I'll check it on the front end. Let's see, what did I do wrong? Inspect. Let me make sure everything is zoomed in a little bit. Inspect. Okay, what did I do? Grid, inspect. Display flex. Interesting. I'm guessing there was something was overwriting it. Yep, display flex. That was a higher class. Yep, that's it. So it works. Everything works. I just had two classes, and one of them was overwriting the grid. So yeah, that's something I should have tested out. Flex column. There's supposed to be a collision detection, right? So how does it detect the collision? It didn't detect anything. Nope, there's no. All I can say is there was no. I thought there was supposed to be a collision detection to detect that the display of the flex column is overriding the display of. Maybe because this is a locked class. Maybe that's something to think about. And something I've just noticed, we don't even know that the class is locked. There's no that unless I click on this copy ID. Let me zoom back to the regular. Okay, so unless I click on this bricks thing, that's the only way I know that the class was locked. Otherwise, I guess they're just trying to make it minimalist. But then that's why then you don't know when the class is locked or not. But yeah, okay. So that is that for the visual grid builder. Let me see on the front end, how did it do? So if I try to change the grid builder, make sure I delete this flex column. The grid builder, and I move one of the blocks to that way. The other block, move it to 2. Check the style, the CSS. Okay, so for query loops, it now uses this one of the class name, one of the class name, or 6 of the class name. So only in query loops. In regular divs and elements, it uses the regular, just the class name, or the nth child 2, nth child 3. But in a query loop, it uses this one of the class name, 6 of the class name, and so on. So that's something to note. And yeah, I think this inherited classes is not working with my core framework classes, because those classes, I think they came from core framework. So I guess there's something to check there. Then what else? Yeah, this was the last one that I would check out. These pseudo classes and elements. And I think some people don't realize that we always had these selectors for pseudo classes, because I saw a question in the Bricks community and someone said he wants to be able to style the child element. So let's go to an element. So let's say something like, let me add a block, wrap in a block. And they want to be able to style the basic text when the block is hovered. And someone mentioned that it's not possible pre 2.0, but it was always possible, because basically it's the same thing. This selector didn't really change. The only thing that changed is that now you have some options. So it's the same thing. You still click on the selector. After you've chosen your class, you choose the selector. Then you simply choose maybe hover. Then you put a space. So basically it's saying this ID when it is hovered, you want to now style maybe the basic text. And I think we can now choose the element detector, I think. And I'll click. I just have to click on the element, right? Oh no. How do I do it? This is what happens when you don't watch you don't watch completely. So let's see. I click on the selector detector and select element. No. And okay, the element is, I don't know, how do I search for it? Basic text. I would have to check that out again. I thought it's basic. I guess I'll just copy the ID of this one to make it easy for myself. So I will come over here and copy CSS ID, go back to the block, and I'll choose the selector. As I want to select when it is hovered, I want to select the child, which is this bricks dash the value, and I can now give it a label and say maybe this is the basic text child. Oh no, something changed it. I don't know what just happened. I think that one was me. I pressed the button I'm not supposed to press. But yeah, hover, and then the ID, and I want to give it the name of basic text child, create. So now I'm styling when the ID, you see this one is highlighted first. The ID is highlighted for the element. Then we have a thicker highlight, which now tells us that we're highlighting the hover state or whatever child element on that. And I'm trying to style that. So now I can now go and do my normal styling on this element since it's highlighted. I can say I want the color to be primary, and the font size should be maybe a large text. So let's save it and deselect. So deselect. So when I hover now over the block, you can see the element, the child element was highlighted when I hover over the block. This was already possible pre the Bricks 2.0. The only difference that, like I said, that they added was that they now made it so that you can give it a name. So now we have a name of basic text child. So whenever I click on that, it's now a meaningful name. It now takes me to the same thing that I was styling before, but just with a nicer human readable name. Then you can also go ahead and edit it and change the name if you want, and change the what it is targeting and things like that. Or you can just do a regular selector. So I want to select maybe the before. I don't need to add a label for that. Create. So now I'm selecting the element ID before, and I can start styling it however I want. So I can say I want to add. Now, how do I add content? I never thought of that. So how do you add? Let me see. Ctrl Shift F. Content. Okay, so that may be something that you will have to check out, because I can add the before, but then I can't edit the content within before and after elements. So that will be a problem. So that might be another bug, because previously in version, what version do I have open? Here, this version. Let's see, I'm going to this, is this Elementor or Bricks? So let's say I went to a page and I'm editing the page in Bricks. Previously, when you choose the, let's add a section first, container. So I go to the selector and I choose something like before. You had the option to add a content. So I can say the content is this is the before content. And I save it. But now with the new Bricks 2.0 alpha, there is no extra option for the content. So when I'm editing the before, edit it, I can only add a label. Let me see, test, but I can't add a content to it. Yep. So that's definitely a bug. Something that I will have to point out. Hopefully I'll have to, let me see if I wrote it. Let me write it down somewhere. The pseudo selector doesn't accept. Any form of like content. So for before and after. And yeah, I think those are the only things that I've found here with the builder. And that's it for the bricks. That is that about bricks. The last thing I'll be checking out is the Elementors. No, not Elementor, sorry. I'll be checking out Bricksforge version 3.0.7. So that's the last thing I'll be checking out. So let me know in the comments if you're a Bricksforge user so that we can go ahead. The question I'm trying to solve is, someone said one deal breaker that they have with Bricksforge is if they cannot use the JetEngine glossary within a Bricksforge Pro form. So that's what we'll be looking at today, to see if we can use the Bricksforge Pro form and then add some. Give me 1 minute. Someone is. I'm just going to turn off my mic. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to answer somebody at the door. But yeah, so with the last thing is that this Bricksforge version 3. I hope everything is working perfectly. Hope there is no I don't know, my system seems to tell me that the bit rate is too low. So let me know in the comments if you can still hear me and you can still see me, so we can continue. I'm just going to use my phone to make sure I can actually see myself. The Chrome. So but just let me know in the comments if everything is looking good and sounding good. The final thing we'll just do is just the JetEngine glossary page, trying to look at it in Bricksforge and see if we can pull the glossary page into Bricksforge, and we'll be done for the day. So yeah, let me switch over while I keep waiting for a response. Hopefully somebody can let me know in the comments. Okay. Is this the right page? No, this is... Yeah, it should be Crocoblock. Close that. Close that. And I'm going to WP Codebox. So basically, let me go to my JetEngine glossary. I have a glossary page for JetEngine that says nationality, and it has basically options for different nationalities. So let me convert it to manual source. And we just have different options. So we have the country name, and this is the label and the value. Label and value. Ideally, the value should be in lowercase, but in this case, I'm doing label and value. So the idea is that we want to be able to get the label and value into a select field in Bricks or in Bricksforge. So I'll come So the way we would normally do it is you go over to your query builder in JetEngine list, and I'll start with the query. So maybe glossary query. I'm showing you where it should have worked, but it's not going to work that way. And I'll look for SQL query builder. Then I'll say I want to go to the from table, and the table is called the jet post types. So that's called jet post types. And the from where the column I want to check is the ID. I want to compare it. It should be equal to. Then I'll come back to my glossary. So JetEngine glossary. I'll see the ID here is 6. So I'll go back to my compare and say the value is supposed to be 6. The type is maybe numeric. And you can do other settings like which column do I want to include. I want to include the meta fields column and so on. Then I can preview it. And you see it returns the values for the field. So that's Afghanistan and so on. All of those values are returned successfully. This is how we will have done it normally. But unfortunately, with Bricksforge, you can't use the JetEngine query builder. Let me show you what I mean. Let me go ahead and disable the preview, save this query. Then I'll come to a page in JetEngine or in Bricksforge. Say form and glossary, edit. Then I'll go ahead and add a select field. So I have a form added. Let me go to my form. Okay, no, it's not. Let me add a select field. So normally you will have come to this option, then use query loop, then query. You now choose your query, which is in this case the query builder, which was JetEngine query builder. When I click on that, the next option is supposed to be for me to choose what exact query I want to return, but unfortunately, Bricksforge itself does not give you that option. If you go with any other block, so let's just add a random block, and I go to query loop, choose query, and I choose that JetEngine query builder, you see that the next option is to add the JetEngine queries, and I can now choose the exact source I want, which is the glossary query. Then I can now start adding elements inside of that query. But with Bricksforge at the moment, that option does not show up to choose the exact JetEngine query. So that is one limitation we have for now. So the only way we can now solve this problem is to use our own function. So with the help of some ChatGPT, I was able to create a function. So this is the function get glossary JSON, and it just returns the value and the label and the value. So all I have to just do now is return the function in this format. So echo get glossary JSON, and then the ID I want to check for. So just copy that. And the other thing you have to also do is make sure once you've added this function, you go to your echo whitelist, so like another function, and make sure you have whitelisted the get glossary JSON using the bricks filter. So with those two, you're done. You can now come back to your form, and this time I'll delete this option, go back to my select field, choose the options, change it from nestable to dynamic data, and I'll now use the echo function. So echo colon, put the function name, and I'll put in brackets the ID. So the ID in this case is, I believe it's 6. So I'll put 6. And immediately I do that, you can see we get our options. And that's how you can get your options from a JetEngine query because all you have to just do is just call that function name, echo get the function name, and you put the ID, which is in this case is 6. So put that ID equal to 6 in the regular brackets, and you get your function. So I can save it and preview on the front end. You can see my select field is now populated with all of the nationalities. And yeah, that's it. So those are the 3 things that I wanted to talk about today. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, any comments. I'll be doing a better video about that JetEngine glossary page by Monday, I believe. You get a full video, but that's just about it. Talking about the Elementors, new features, the Bricks, new features, and I noticed some bugs already, which I'm going to report after this live stream. And then I've also gone ahead to show you the Bricksforge settings and how you can use Bricksforge with JetEngine glossary page. And yep. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.